Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about the Boise housing market crash. And here's what's really happening. So, have you ever noticed that every time you turn on the news, someone's predicting the housing market is about to crash? Right? One expert says, don't buy. Another expert says, prices are going to fall 20%. Someone else says, Boise is the next housing bubble. So who's right here? If you're thinking about buying or selling your home here in the Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Napa, Caldwell areas, this is going to be one of the most important videos you watch this year. And here's why. Today I'm going to break down and I'm going to separate the headlines from reality and show you what's actually happening here in the Treasure Valley housing market. And I'll answer one question. Is Boise headed for a housing crash? So let's find out. 2008 versus today. Whenever people hear the word crash, I think they have a little PTSD, and understandably, they immediately think about 2008. But today's market is very different. Back then, lenders were approving loans for buyers who couldn't truly afford them. People were buying multiple homes with little or no money down. Builders were putting up subdivisions faster than demand could absorb them. And when the economy slowed, foreclosures exploded. So inventory flooded the market, prices collapsed. However, today's market does not look anything like that. Most homeowners have significant equity and lending standards are much stricter than they've ever been. So many homeowners are locked into mortgage rates around 3% and have little incentive to sell. Those are two very different conditions. Why people think the market is crashing. Here's why so many people think we're heading for trouble. Mortgage rates are still much higher than they were a few years ago, so homes aren't selling in 2 days anymore. Buyers are negotiating again, price reductions are more common, and if you've been in Boise very long, that feels like a dramatic change. But slowing down isn't the same as crashing. Think about driving down the freeway. If you're driving 80 miles an hour and you slow down to 45, you're still moving forward. You're just not flying down the road anymore. And, side note, 80 miles an hour is the normal around here once you get out of town. However, this is what happens in real estate. It's returned to a much more normal sort of market. What the market is actually doing, let's talk about Boise specifically. Here's what the local numbers are telling us. Home values have been relatively stable over the last 2 years instead of collapsing. Many homes are still selling very close to their asking price. Well-priced homes in desirable neighborhoods still continue to move quickly. Boise still has relatively low inventory with what we'd expect in a true buyer's market where the inventory is very high. So if we were heading toward a crash, we'd see exploding inventory, homes sitting for months, sellers accepting deep discounts, and that's just not what we're seeing. Instead, we're seeing a more balanced market. Buyers finally have time to think and not wave all their rights away. They can negotiate repairs, they can sell and ask for seller paid closing costs, they can and sometimes negotiate down their interest rates. These opportunities barely existed a few years ago. That is not a crash, that is a healthy, long-term balanced market. Could prices drop? Now let's be honest. Could some prices come down? Absolutely. Every real estate market has neighborhoods that outperform others, and that's key to understand. Some homes are overpriced. Luxury properties often take longer to sell. So some sellers are still trying to price their home like it's 2022, and those homes are sitting. But a correction is not the same as a crash. Real estate moves in cycles. Some years prices rise, sometimes they flatten, and sometimes they dip modestly. That's normal. A crash requires widespread job losses, forced selling, and a wave of foreclosures, far more homes for sale than there are buyers. Right now, Boise simply isn't showing these conditions. What should buyers do? If you're waiting for Boise home prices to fall by 30%, you may be waiting a very long time. Here's what I tell my clients. Don't try to time the market, time your life. If you found the right house and it fits your budget, then plan to stay there, and you plan to stay there for several years, buying today often makes more sense than trying to predict exactly where prices will be 6 months from now. Because here's the reality. If interest rates fall significantly, thousands of buyers who are currently sitting on the sidelines are likely to jump back into the market, and that creates more competition. More competition usually puts upward pressure on prices. As a seller, what do you need to know? If you're selling your home, pricing is everything. The days of putting any number on your housing and expecting 15 offers are long behind us. Today's buyers are much more informed. They compare homes online before they even walk through the house. They notice when a property is overpriced, and the homes that are overpriced, or the homes that are priced correctly, are the ones that are selling. So that's why strategy matters more than ever. So, is the Boise housing market crashing? Based on today's local data, no. The market has definitely shifted. It's more balanced. Buyers have more negotiating power, and sellers need better pricing and stronger marketing. That's a healthy market, not a housing crash. So if you're thinking about buying or selling here in the Treasure Valley and want to know what's happening in specific neighborhoods, I'd be happy to help. Please, below, leave a comment and tell me what you think. So if you believe that prices are headed up or they're headed down, staying about the same, just let me know. Feedback is crucial. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and again, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'll also leave some other information in the link below. Thank you. See you next week.